See, what makes non-dual practice so extraordinary is that when we're really doing it, there is nothing that could possibly occur that would be an obstacle, that we would need to reject or push away or get beyond to get to the practice. Everything is the practice. Everything is the path. Because the path is simply recognizing that everything already is that which you've been seeking. That the natural functioning of your mind, of your emotional world, of your experiencing, the natural function of that is already sacred, already the Buddha, already enlightened mind at work.
Welcome to Meditation Changes Everything with spiritual teacher Craig Hamilton, a podcast exploring the deeper potentials of meditation practice and how it can change every aspect of human life. In this episode, Craig takes us on a journey into the heart of spiritual awakening. Many of us have had glimpses of a sublime, sacred dimension of being. Yet these extraordinary moments often feel far removed from the ordinariness of our everyday lives. As we deepen our spiritual practice, however, we come to a profound realization. Even the most mundane aspects of life are expressions of that same sublime essence. This understanding is known as non-duality. Today, Craig shows us how every experience, no matter how ordinary, can be a gateway to the infinite. A path to the sacred essence that is always present in every moment. We hope you enjoy the show. Here's Craig.
Throughout our spiritual lives, we're often invited to become aware of awareness, to discover consciousness itself, the one having the experiences, that which is beyond the human beings going through our lives. We're typically just aware of the content of our experience, the content of awareness, the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations, the encounters with other people, the experiences we're having. Our attention's usually there. And spiritual awakening calls us to discover the subject, the experiencer, the context in which all of that's happening, the infinite depth in which this life is occurring, and to become rooted in that depth, and then live our lives as this vast, infinite depth, living a human life. And through our spiritual practices, we sometimes have these tastes or these encounters with what I might call the sublime ground of all of this, with the source, with the sacred dimension of reality. We discover, maybe in just fleeting glimpses, sometimes in a more sustained way, that beyond what can often seem like kind of a cruel, indifferent, somewhat neutral world and life, that there is this beautiful, intelligent, loving, infinitely powerful, infinitely deep wellspring of goodness, of truth, of beauty, majesty, sublime, beyond comprehension, that there is this truly divine, sublime, sacred dimension or ground to existence. And in our, humanities religious experiments and religious and spiritual seeking, this, we've related to this sacred dimension in all kinds of different ways. We've worshipped it. We've created altars to sacrifice to it. We've come together to praise it. The mystics among us have aspired into communion with it, or to learn how to access it, or to learn how to serve, live in service to this higher reality, to manifest it, to embody it, to sing its glories and praises. So many ways that we've all related to this. And yet beyond all of that, there is the ultimate path, which is to realize, to finally come to accept that this ultimate reality that brings us to our knees is in fact all there is. That we sometimes just discover or notice in a moment and are in awe of it when we do. That's what's always going on. That's what everything is made of. That's who and what we are also. That's our nature, and that's the nature of everything. The true nature of everything. Not the apparent manifestation. We can look at the apparent manifestations of everything in this world, and we would be foolish to say, oh, it's all equally beautiful and wonderful. The cruelty, the destructiveness, the torture, the selfishness, it's the violence, the short-sightedness. What to say, oh, look how great it's all just equally good on a relative level. That would be a profound error to draw that conclusion. But that's not what this realization of non-duality points to. It's not calling us to see, oh, yeah, it's all the bad things are just as good as the good things. It's that reality as a whole. Everything we encounter is an outpicturing of the same one consciousness. And when we peer down into the depth of that consciousness, at what it's really made of, we discover that it is made of this sublime, sacred, I want to say substance, but that's way too substantial. This essence, this sacred essence, this essential nature that is supreme. So the reason that in spiritual practice we are often trying to draw our attention to consciousness itself, to awareness itself, to pure awareness, it's because pure consciousness or pure awareness is, when we discover it, it's much easier to discover the sacred nature of everything, the sacred nature of reality, because we're no longer distracted by all the dualities, the good and the bad, what we want, what we don't want, the relative ups and downs. We're being drawn to the essence so that we can discover that essence in its purity. And hopefully you have. But non-dual spiritual practice and non-dual spiritual awakening isn't only about coming to know awareness or consciousness in its pure form. That's like a first step. Discovering that sacred ground, discovering that sacred essence as consciousness, as the source, is necessary. It's essential, it's fundamental to mystical practice or awakening practice. But ultimately, real non-dual practice and non-dual awakening is a practice of recognizing that everything that arises in your meditation is equally an expression of that essence. Everything that arises in your meditation is already enlightened. It's a manifestation of the enlightened mind. See, what makes non-dual practice so extraordinary is that when we're really doing it, there is nothing that could possibly occur that would be an obstacle, that we would need to reject or push away or get beyond to get to the practice. Everything is the practice. Everything is the path. Because the path is simply recognizing that everything already is that which you've been seeking. That the natural functioning of your mind, of your emotional world, of your experiencing, the natural function of that is already sacred, already the Buddha, already enlightened mind at work. Not a single thought of any kind is an unenlightened thought. Not a single experience you could have is an unenlightened experience. Non-duality is the realization that there are not two things. There's not the good and the bad. Even though, yes, is functioning in the world, those distinctions are relevant and real, and we can learn to make them with ever greater wisdom from this non-dual realization. But in our non-dual meditation practice, all we need to do is simply let reality unfold naturally, exactly as it is. And all we are called to do is to see its enlightened nature, which really means to not in any moment conclude that something is wrong, that something is out of place, that something is not enlightened. In its simplest form, this practice is just a practice of resisting the temptation to label anything as unenlightened, or to make a separation and push something outside of your own naturally awakened consciousness. If you can include absolutely everything that occurs, without making any distinction between the sacred and the profane, between the sublime and the ordinary, non-duality is the only thing you will know. When meditating in this way, you may begin to have certain deeper experiences, subtle feelings, maybe a deep meditative current that's flowing, or a sense of expansiveness or softening of the boundaries around your sense of self. In other words, we may have all kinds of experiences in the meditation that feel like awakening experiences, spiritual openings, deepenings. And they are that. We wouldn't be wrong to see them that way and to relate to these deeper experiences as very positive, spiritual openings, deepenings, illuminations, even awakenings. But as this occurs, it can also happen that on a very subtle level we start to make a distinction between these experiences that are the deepening, awakening experiences, and then other things that arise in our meditation that seem to take us away from that depth. Like we become distracted by our thoughts for a couple minutes, and it seems like, wow, that was really took me right out of the deep meditation I was having. Or some feeling or emotion or sensation that again seems to be in some sort of opposition to this deeper awareness that's clearly here. It's clearly opening. So what I want to invite you to do is to turn toward every experience that you tend to turn away from or push away or subtly label as less enlightened than the other experience. The key to non-dual practice and awakening is to recognize that even those thoughts, feelings, sensations that seem in opposition to your awakening or outside of your deeper enlightened nature, that each of those is in fact equally an expression of your enlightened consciousness. Equally. In other words, not just not a problem, but in fact the key. In fact, the path. What this means is that the experience you're having right now is the experience of your natural state, of your awakened consciousness. This experience, no matter what it is. See if you can recognize that. Not just something you can live with, not just something you can accept as part of it all, but the very awakening itself is manifesting as this experience right now. That's the practice.
This podcast is supported by our paying members in Craig's Awakened Life membership program. When you join the Awakened Life, each month you'll receive in-depth teachings and guidance in the practice of direct awakening, including a meditation workshop, 4 guided meditations, and a live online retreat with Craig. And when you register today, you can receive your first month for 50% off. Go to awakenedlifemembership.com to learn more and enroll. If you enjoyed today's episode, we hope you'll share our show with others. And please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you have a minute to write a short review on your podcast app, we would deeply appreciate your support. You can stay connected to the show by subscribing to our newsletter at meditationchangeseverything.com. Each week, we'll send you new audios and videos from Craig, and we'll also let you know when we release new episodes of the show. If the approach to meditation we've been exploring today inspires you, you are invited to tune into a 90-minute online workshop Craig will be hosting called Meditation 2.0, The Miracle of Direct Awakening. In the workshop, he'll share a powerful new approach to meditation practice and guide you in a series of brief meditation experiments so you can experience it for yourself. You can listen to that at freemeditationworkshop.com. That's freemeditationworkshop.com. Check out our show notes for links to all the ways you can stay in touch with Craig's work. Meditation Changes Everything is created by Craig Hamilton, Susan Fries, Mason Ewald, Stephanie Murphy, Will Bowman, and Richard Klein. From all of us, thank you for tuning in.